We're looking at section 2 of chapter 8, which is surface area of prisms. So please write this all down in your notebook. And if you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause the video. When you're ready to move on, go ahead and move on. So if you want to write it all down and then listen to the directions, that might be helpful. So the surface area is the sum of the areas of all the faces. So we want to get all of the faces. So remember, if it's a prism, there should be about 6 faces here. So if you notice, this is color coded. So they looked at the first face, kind of this turquoise color. So there's the top here. There's going to be a bottom one the same color. So that's why you have 2 of them. And 8 times 5 is 40. So that's how you get the surface area of the top and the bottom of your box. Then we're going to look at the side of your box. So we have this side and then we have the other side. So again, we have 2 sides. And that's 7 times 5. So you could say, let me write with a different color so you can see that. So you could say that this is 5 centimeters here. So to get the area of the purple, it's going to be 7 times 5. And that's how they get 35. And remember, you have 2 of those sides. Then the other side we have is this green side. So we have this green side, and then you have the other one on the other side. So you have 2 of them. And the area of those, the green, is 8 times 7. So we could look at it on this side too. So we know that this top is 8. We know this side is 7. So that's how they get 56. And remember, there's 2 of those. So if you add all of these up, that will give you the total surface area of this prism. So if we add that up, 0, 5, and 6, got 1, carry the 1 because that was 11. That's 5, that's 8. That's hard to do, so I'm going to do 5 plus, so I get 13 centimeters squared. So the surface area of this should be 131 centimeters squared. So now we're going to practice some of those. So let's look at the next one. So remember, if you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause the video. When you're ready to move on, go ahead and move on. So you're going to do this one on your own, but I'm going to get you started. So remember, there's 6 sides to our prism. So let's start with, let's look at this side. So there's this one, and then there's this one on that side too. So we know this length is 6. What would this length be? Well, it says it's 5. So figure out what the surface area is of this side, and you know you have 2 of those. So you know you have 2 of these. And this is 6 times 5. Okay, so those are 2 sides. Let's add 2 more sides to our picture. So let's go with the top. Then we have the bottom. So gosh, what are the sides here? What are the lengths? What can I get? I know that this must be a 6, because that's what it was on the bottom. So it must be on the top. I see a 9 on the bottom, so it must be a 9 on the top. So now I know I have a top and a bottom, so I have 2 sides. And it's 6 times 9. Okay, now we only have 1 more side to go. So again, I should see all of this work in your notebook. So I now have the front and the back that I want to get. So the front, it looks like I have a length of 9 and another one of 5. So I'm going to add to this. I have 2 sides, and that's 9 times 5. So you're going to get a number here, a number here, a number here. You're going to add those all together, and you're going to tell me what the surface area is of this rectangle. And because this is meters times meters, my final units should be meters squared. So you should see a text box on the right. I want to see the sum plus the sum plus the sum, and then I want a total. So I should see something like, oh gosh, what is 6 times 5? 30 times 2. So I should see 60 meters squared plus 9 times 6 is 54 times 2 of those, that's 108 meters squared plus 9 times 5 is 45. I've got 2 of those. That must be 90 meters squared. And then I want to see what that total is. So you do that one. after you've written that in the text box on the right, you can do the next one. So when you need to pause a video, go ahead and pause. When you're ready to move on, hit play. If you have a question, still copy everything down and then put a question mark. Again, you can look in your textbook because your textbook has very similar examples to help you through this material. So you have that one. You have number 2 you're going to do. We threw in a couple fractions there for you to do. So remember, you should have 6 sides. So you might have to figure out which side is which. When you're done, put the answer in the text box on the right. Here's another one. When you're done, so now we're using decimals. So we're practicing using decimals, fractions, whole numbers when we find the surface area of our objects. Remember, if you need to pause the video. When you're ready to move on, but you have to enter an answer into the text box on the right. Okay, one more. Try to figure that one out. You at least have to draw the picture. Let's see. How many sides do we have to this? So we have this side. Excuse me. We have 1. We have the front and the back, so that's 3. And then we have this top, 4. So this one only has 5 sides. So try to figure that out to the best that you can, but I should see some work in your notebook. Okay, so let's try this prism. I think that's what I just gave you. So let's see if we can figure this out. So we know we have a triangle. So how can I get the area of a triangle? Well, that's going to be 1/2 base times height. So it looks like my base is 5 and my height is 6.5. Okay. So that's the area of that triangle. Do I have 2 of those? I certainly do, because I have a front and I also have a back. So I can multiply that whole thing by 2. Magically, those cross cancel, and I'm left with just 5 times 6.5. Okay, so we're going to add to that. Let's find some more things that we can do. We have this side of our triangle. We're going to have the other side too. So this isn't a triangle, though. This is a rectangle, right? Because I have 4 sides. So what's the area, surface area of this? It's going to be 8 times 6.5. And how many of those do I have? I have 2 of those. Plus we have one more surface. We have the surface down below that we can't really see. So that's going to be down there. And what would that be? Well, it looks like the length is 8 and the width must be 5. So I'm going to go add 8 times 5. Do I have 2 of those? No, I only have 1 of those. So I have 5 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double checked it. Okay, so now let's do some math. What is 5 times 6.5? So I could do some side math. I could separate it out. So I know 5 times 6 is 30, right? And I know 5 times 0.5 is 2.5. So it's a nice, easy way to do the math. And let's do the next one. I have 8 times 6. 6 times 8 is 48. Plus 8 times 5 is 40, but it's 0.5, so it's going to be plus 4.0. Oops, and I have 2 of those. So I'm going to multiply that whole thing times 2. Okay, my last one. Plus 8 times 5, which is 40. Mrs. Miller, you're running out of room. So I know I should write it down below, but I ran out of room, so we're going to write it up here. So 30 plus 2.5 is 32.5. Plus 48 plus 4 is 52. Times 2 is 104. Plus my 40. All right, so what's my total here? Oh, I have 100. I have 32.5 plus 104 plus 40. So 32 plus 104 gives me 136.5 plus 40 gives me 176.5 centimeters square. Double check my math though. Sometimes I make little mistakes. Okay, so to recap, I first figured out the area of the triangle. Then I figured out the area of the two sides. The two sides were kind of rectangles. And then I figured out the area of the bottom, which was another rectangle. Again, you have an example in your book to help support this, so you can look at that as well. So now we're going to try some practice problems. So let's see what we have on the next page. All right, so you're going to figure out the surface area of this shape. So remember, you have 5 sides. So remember, you have your triangle first, right? So here's your triangle. Get the area of that triangle. You also want the area of this rectangle. Okay, and then you want the area of the bottom, which we can't see. Okay, but we do have the bottom. So the bottom, you have 1. How many triangles do we have? We have 2 of those. And how many side rectangles do we have? We also have 2 of those. So you should have 5 sides to this triangle. So go ahead, calculate this in your notebook, draw the picture, figure it all out, and then answer in the text box on the right. Okay, you're going to try this one as well. So after you have your answer in the text box on the right, try the next one. Oh, that was it. So in summary, how to find the surface area of a rectangular prism and a triangular prism. So how many sides are there on a rectangular prism? There are 6 sides. You kind of have to divide it all up. How many are there in a triangular prism? There are 5 sides. We will practice some more of these during class. If you have questions, please write those in your notebook, and I will see you tomorrow.